I don't know if you notice this, but every season I see players doing same thing that looks incredibly organized, and somehow they still end up wasting resources. They have the spreadsheets, they know the event order, they know when the next speed up event is coming, they know when the greatest height starts, they know where they should save gems, and yet a month later they're asking the same question. How I'm already out of speed ups? Question mark. Now that's when I realized something. I don't think most players waste resources because they're making bad decisions. I think they're wasting resources because they're planning for events instead of planning for their account. Now, those these things sounds the same, but they are not, because an event is just a date. Your account is a progression system, and once I start separating those two ideas, the way I planned everything completely changed. I'm going to share one story, and this is for this city skin that you're seeing. This is the Autumn Hymn. This is Magic Unit Defense. I was knowing that the Mage city skin is coming, but in the same time, that was just not enough. Because the moment when this city skin come, I was having maybe like 300 days of speed ups, and there was a people who was preparing for very long time. So I was waiting to see how the event is going to go, and some of the people I know they spent like, I mean, decent amount of money just to be able to get the permanent city skin. I don't remember back in the days. Are we was having these tokens? You know, you collect 6 tokens and you buy the city skin. I think you should be just in top 10 to get the city skin, and you don't get anything in extra. This is my memory from back in the days. I'm not like 100% sure, but I was knowing the date of this city skin, but I was not having, my account was not at this stage in form of speed ups, in form of resources to actually go there and compete for this city skin. So I don't have it. But yeah, I plan ahead. I save my speed ups, everything. Um, before this event with this city skin to come, I was pushing for tier 5, and maybe it was actually a good idea to push tier 5 in events like this, so you get value from your research speed ups, for your building speed ups, from everything. You know, it's not only training speed ups. And yeah, I end up having this city skin at the end of the day, but still, knowing the date didn't mean I was able to, go and compete there. But I planned like 8 months ahead, and I was able to get this city skin. For a long time, I thought the secret was simply knowing what was coming next. If I know Greatest Heights was coming, I do save speed ups. If I gem event was coming, I do stop spending gems. If an artifact event was coming, I'll hold my artifacts. It's basically simple, except it wasn't, because eventually I noticed something. Players with exact same information were getting completely different results. Because this is not something like hide it from the players, let's be honest. I mean, it's something that is available for every person. You just go and click on the event calendar, and you know what is coming. For Greatest Heights, you know every season there's going to be 2 new heroes, and there's going to be city skin with those heroes. So you have an idea. Okay, sometimes it's not like this, because right now we was having Greatest Heights for infantry city skin, but the new heroes was actually the mage one. But anyway, you know the order of the city skins, you know the order of the heroes. If you don't know it, you basically can ask me under this video. Just write me your Burgas, which is going to be the next heroes, which is going to be the next city skin, and etc. So I'm going to, help you, but you're going to see the same cycles that is happening in this game. And yeah, we all know the event schedule. So why were some accounts constantly prepared where others always fell behind? It wasn't information, it was planning. Knowing an event is coming and actually preparing your account for it are completely different skills. That's the first realization that changed my mindset. The calendar doesn't make you efficient, the decisions you make between events do. Then I start paying attention to something else. Most players plan one event ahead. The strongest player seems to plan 3 or 4 events ahead. At first, I thought that sounded excessive, but then I start looking at my own decision. If I spend speedups today, what event does that affect next week? If I use gems here, what does that stop me from doing 2 weeks from now? If I build the here now, will I still have enough resources for the next power event? Suddenly, every resource stop belonged to a current event. It belonged to a several future events at the same time. That's a completely different way of looking at progression. And yeah, as I already mentioned about my city skin, at this time when the city skin was presented, there was also a strongest word. So not only I was able to get the city skin, but in when I was doing the push, I was also getting points for the strongest word. So it was like some people are saying one stone, two birds, but with basically a one speed up, I was managing to participate in 2 events. And both of these 2 events was counting my power progression, training troops, and etc. So you can prepare for one event, but why not prepare for a couple events? Especially if they stick together and you get the benefits from these both events. And this is actually how to say it, this is a real account example where saving for one future event allow me to actually participate, and that was for Gromara, if I remember right. Is it for Grumar? I don't remember which hero was there, but I managed. I was unlucky with the Wheel of Destiny, but I managed to get the hero through the strongest word and pushing for the city skin. Another thing surprised me. Players often judge events by their rewards. I started judging them by what they enable. For example, maybe an event doesn't give amazing rewards, but completing it allow you to keep your speed ups for much bigger event later. Or maybe spending a few thousand gems today lets you avoid spending 20,000 next month. On paper, the first event doesn't look impressive. In reality, it completely changed the value of the next one. That's when I realized timing is often more valuable than the rewards. The rewards itself isn't always the biggest prize. Sometimes the biggest reward is preserving flexibility. That's completely changed how I look at the resources. I stop asking what should I spend today. I start asking what job does this resource already have? Because every speed up, every gem, every CP point, every hero token already has a future purpose. The mistake isn't spending them. The mistake is spending them before deciding what the purpose is. And once I start giving every major resource a future job, something interesting happened. I stopped feeling resource starved. Now, not because I had more resources, but because fewer of them were being wasted. And I'm going to give you an account example of when I start assigning purpose to my resources instead of spending them, whether an event appear. And I'm going to even share with you where I'm going to spend my events. Now, first thing first is basically the speed ups. Speed ups Obviously, the research speedups is going to be for seasonal policy. This is not going to help you in any event. Because for me personally, because I finished all the researches, building speedups is only when you convert them in the training speedups. Other way is not going to help you anywhere. Training speedups and general speedups, as you can see, I have like 1.7k days, which is crazy. This is going to serve for the greatest heights. What is my mission with the greatest heights? Is I already have couple seal of tokens, seal of power, a testament to a blah, exchange for rewards, city team, blah blah blah. So I have 4. So the plan I'm having is to get again a permanent city skin and get more tokens, so I get boost, so I can actually boost the attack I'm having from my city skins. On top of that, if the next mage city skin is very good, I'm going to be ahead also there. But this is the plan for my speed ups. Some other resources like gems. For now, I don't have big purpose for my gems, to be fair. Maybe I may actually invest little in the getting closer to SVIP. This is one of the things, because from point of artifacts, I have mage artifacts. I have some cavalry. You know, I have the artifacts I'm currently needing, so I'm not going to spend there. Maybe it's going to be in decorations at the end of the day. So I think this is where, many players incidentally fall behind. They believe efficiency means getting every reward. I don't anymore, because as I already mentioned, is some events just request way more. Last time when I get my city skin, I push like 50 million power. 50 million power. I think efficiency means creating a chain where one event naturally prepares you for the next one. That's why 2 players can earn almost identical rewards from the same event and still finish the season with completely different accounts. One player reacts to the calendar, other build around it. That's a much bigger difference than it sounds. Looking back, I don't think the spreadsheet was ever the advantage. Actually, the only time I actually look at the spreadsheet was to see how much power I'm going to be able to push with my speed ups. But this is, it's not like just preparing for the event, it's just getting some information. The spreadsheets was just a reminder. The real advantage came from asking better question before spending anything. Not what event is next, but what decision today will make the next 3 events easier. Now, there's not that many events like this, to be fair, and Greatest Heights is end goal that other events you're doing should support this great goal, again, because it's consuming crazy amount of resources. But yeah, that single change probably saved me more speed ups, gems, and combat points that any optimization guide I ever watched. So now I'm curious. When you look at your resources, are you planning for the next event? Or are you planning for the next month? Because I honestly think that's where efficient accounts start separating themselves from everybody else. Anyway, guys, that is for this video. Huge thank you to all channel members for supporting the channel. If you do like to support the channel as well, you can check out the join button below. Members get early access to videos, exclusive content, member shoutouts, and Warwords member can reach me out directly for strategy and account advices. Thank you very much for watching, and see you in the next one.